Hi everyone, Alan from Newlands Pets here and welcome to today's Ask Alan. It's going so well, loads and loads of questions. I hope you all survived all the heat we're getting. It's still pretty warm out there, even today really humid, but at least we're having a nice summer. So thank you for everyone that sent in their questions and let's get to the first one. So question 1, Sarah asks that I mentioned in episode 7 that you can mix flavours within a brand, and I remember this question. It was more to do with kibble. No, actually it wasn't, to be fair. It's to do with kibble and raw, about mixing flavours, and you don't necessarily need to do the same changeover that you might do between brands. Certainly in kibble that is the case. And she's asking, is it actually a good idea to change the protein from a nutrition point of view, or are they all pretty much the same? So if you're feeding a complete food, like a complete kibble for example, the word complete means that it has got enough nutrition to sustain your dog. So you don't actually have to change, but we like the idea of changing for various different reasons. Sometimes there's stock issues with a particular type of protein, or actually it often leads to a less fussy dog. So from a nutrition point of view, there isn't really that much difference, but you do get slightly different nutrients between one protein source and the other. So yeah, it's very slightly different, but from a complete point of view, you don't necessarily have to. Hope that helps. Question 2, apart from chalky poos, is too much bone bad for a dog? So what Andrew is asking here is that if you're feeding too much bone, specifically when you're feeding raw, you get chalky poos, which can cause a bit of constipation and cause a bit of discomfort to the dog, but is there other problems associated with it? The ones that really come to mind is there's a lot of calcium in bone, plus there's a lot of phosphorus in bone, and that can cause problems for some dogs. So it's worth keeping an eye on for that reason. Chalky poos really is what we're actually saying is that's the sign of too much bone. It's not necessarily the worst thing about too much bone. So it's the sign of too much bone and gives us an idea that we need to cut it back. And question 3, what food can I take camping? I won't have a fridge or freezer. This is probably our most commonly asked question, or certainly was before COVID, and is becoming asked again a lot through the summer. So if you're feeding raw, and I'm assuming because you're asking about fridge and freezer, you are feeding raw, then freeze-dried is the natural way to go. It's the closest to raw. Also bear in mind that these days with courier deliveries and stuff like that, sometimes you can get stuff delivered to campsites or to caravan parks or wherever you're going to be. But if that really isn't an option, freeze-dried is a good way to go. Or you could go for a high-end kibble. We've got kibble here, for example, that's got more meat than the raw equivalent. So people think that they're substituting the amount of meat if they go for a kibble. We've got 85% meat kibble, and some of the raw that we sell is 60 to 70%. So you get a bit more meat in there. So it's not necessarily a problem, and it's nice and easy. What we do like to say to people is try and make a decision as soon as possible. What is a bit awkward and we don't really want is you're going away on Saturday and on Thursday you come in and say, I need a food that doesn't need a freezer. That changeover period can be a bit awkward, so bear that in mind. And that is the last question. Thank you very much for all the questions today. We're still getting loads and loads of questions. Remember, you can ask questions on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram. You can comment on this video. You can send us an email, and obviously when you're in store as well, you can ask the questions as well. So thank you very much for everyone who's getting involved. It's really nice to see the questions. See you soon.